Hello and welcome to African Voices. I'm Larry Madowo in Washington, D.C. African designers are shaping the creative landscape by blending traditional heritage with modern innovation. In this episode, we're highlighting two design powerhouses from different ends of the continent whose work is gaining a lot of global attention right now. We'll introduce you to Titi Ogufere, a Nigerian interior design leader transforming spaces and inspiring the next generation. But first, we begin with Jomo Tariku, a Kenyan-born Ethiopian furniture designer whose African-inspired creations stand out in a world full of Eurocentric designs. I spoke with him here in DC about the rich cultural roots of his work.
I am pushing against this whole idea that modernity in design comes only from a European approach. I look at architecture from the continent, body scarification, hair braiding, hairstyles, colors, you name it, wildlife. I wanted to say I can take anything and potentially be able to reimagine it into a furniture piece. My name is Jomo Tariku. I am from Ethiopia. I design furniture based on African themes, and I am a change maker.
This looks really interesting. In a world where Eurocentric design often dominates, Jomo Tariku is carving out space one chair at a time.
These are height adjustable stools. You can literally pull out the pin, just raise this.
That is nice.
Yeah. So again, this harkens back to me being an industrial designer and adding functionality to just a simple stool. And the idea came, the very first height adjustable stool I did was the Burati, which is based on the headrest that you see there.
Right. A furniture designer, industrial artist, and storyteller, his work reimagines African heritage through bold modern forms. How did you get into furniture design?
The first thing I noticed 30 years ago doing my thesis was, look, there's all these inspirational elements that are coming from the continent of Africa. If I could just take some of them and do a reinterpretation. I am pushing against this whole idea that modernity in design comes only from a European approach to design. So I get to push back against that. And I get to also create something unique that stands up by itself.
Born in Kenya and raised in Ethiopia, Jomo's design roots trace back to an early apprenticeship in a furniture shop in Addis Ababa. His artistic path as an industrial designer, however, wasn't always clear or understood.
Even though my parents never discouraged us, I mean, they bought the drawing books and all the painting supplies that we needed, but those were things to do during summer.
Right.
Even my own dad put me through 2 years of apprenticeship. I don't think he did it so I would have a career in making furniture. He went and saw my thesis show, and I had 5 prototypes. Then I think by then he knew, I have a son who's a furniture designer or a glorified carpenter.
His creations draw from all corners of the continent. Ethiopian prayer staffs, antelope horns, even hairstyling tools. Each design is a fusion of form, function, and cultural memory.
I mean, obviously I default a lot. I would say a little bit more than 50% of my inspirations come from Ethiopia, obviously, because these are some of the things I grew up with. So by default, I pick up on those. But for me, it all starts from going through books. I'm very book-oriented, then Googling away. Something has to grab my attention, and not necessarily because I think I can make a furniture idea out of it. It just needs to grab my attention. Maybe I like the story, I like the carving, I like the object.
Tell us about what we're sitting on.
Oh, this is called the Magwamia. Magwamia is a prayer staff that is used in the Ethiopian Orthodox faith. I was told by a curator from the African Art Museum it's also used for when they're singing and praising. I want people who are curious about to make the connection.
Okay, Tell me about the antelope chair.
Yeah, that's the antelope chair is inspired by the Nyala antelope, which is found both in Ethiopia and South Africa. Initially, the interest came because I did a logo design for a publishing company that's called Nyala Publishing. And it's like, man, I love this idea, but how do I even take this and reinterpretation into a chair? I mean, the creative process is all about, not to make a masterpiece from the get-go. I mean, that chance is kind of rare.
What? You don't begin with the thought that I'm going to make this a masterpiece from the jump.
No, I wish, but it doesn't work that way. So it was, consistently sketching, changing, erasing, just building on this idea. As an industrial designer, I incorporate, ergonomics, saying, this is just not a sculptural piece, but it has to be a functional piece.
For Jomo, it's not just beauty or aesthetic design, it's also about representation. A data scientist by day, he found himself often the only Black person in design spaces, and that pushed him to dig deeper. He uncovered that out of 4,417 brands, Black designers were barely represented. He presented his findings at Princeton's African American Studies graduate seminar.
My calendar is about 100 of us practicing now, and this is just a largely Black diaspora. That came out of my curiosity. Whenever I would go to trade shows, I'd be one of few Black designers or Black person I would see at these major shows. So, it was a question to myself, is like, is this, instead of looking into anecdotal stuff, I did a research on it, and 0.3% is what I found out from doing that research, that these large companies use as designs to license from Black designers, because it's very rare. Most of us get that opportunity to work with large manufacturers. In a way, that's what led me into building my own.
Next, how Jomo Tariku's work wound up in Wakanda forever. And this is where the magic is designed?
Well, that's what I would like to believe.
This is a pretty cool thing, this 3D printer.
Yes.
Tell me about it.
My latest toy. Well, it's not a toy. It helps with prototyping. I mean, when I was a student, we used to make, quarter scale models, then progressively you make bigger and full scale model. This helps me realize if design concept actually works. A 3D model on a screen can take you far. This takes you further.
Right.
Then you can go, once you hold it in your hand and look at it from every angle, it kind of makes sense to jump and do a full scale model.
Are there handcrafting techniques you're especially you try to protect even when you make the pieces here?
Not really. I mean, because I come from a product design background, part of you studying industrial design is the focus ends up being mass production, even though I don't do mass production. So you use techniques that have been sharpened, through ages of craftspeople doing the same thing again and again.
From Marvel's Wakanda Forever to the halls of the National Museum of African American History and Culture, Jomo Tariku's work has become part of iconic moments in modern Black culture. Your work was in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, which is iconic. How did that come together?
A simple email. It was just an email that said, we want to use your designs in a movie. Didn't even say what movie it is. I thought this was just another email, but later on, then one of my kids picked up the domain and said MCU stands for Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I said, oh God, it's Marvel. So, and I knew immediately that has to be Black Panther. It can't be anything else.
So tell us about that process, about designing.
I had to work on this thing day and night to get them ready because I couldn't miss an opportunity like this. Then they came back and ended up using one of the Nyala chairs and another stool. So they used 14 pieces for the movie.
In 2024, Jomo was one of just 15 artists featured in Reclaiming My Time, an exhibition celebrating Black art and design at the National Museum of African American History and Culture.
A huge honor. I'll be honest with you. What that museum means to me is the history that is archived in there, and the sacrifices made by so many African Americans is why I'm standing here talking to you about my work and the reason why I'm in so many museums.
That's why Jomo is also a founding member of the Black Artists and Designers Guild, making sure Black creatives aren't just featured during a moment, but become part of the canon.
I want you to be able to go to any city museum, and as part of their collection, you see the Black design language being present there.
What do you want your legacy to be in this space?
The art and design world tends to be a me-focused type of practice. It's always, have you seen mine? It's always about yourself. And hopefully my legacy is I made it more than myself.
And that's our show. I'm really excited to see where Titi and Jomo take their designs next. If you want to watch this show again, or any of the others we have made, they're all on our website, cnn.com/African Voices. I'm Larry Madowo in Washington, D.C., and I'll see you next time.